Hey, welcome back. Hopefully you made or started your budget. Start thinking about your spending, start thinking about money in general, all your bills. It's not fun, but you got to start somewhere. It'll be fun soon, hopefully. I think it's fun. So that being said, jump into module two and start moving right along here. Okay, so this is module two, budgeting for your life. So budgeting doesn't stop you from spending, makes you spend wiser. That's what I wrote there. Again, budgeting has like this, again, taboo meaning in society in the United States. Like, oh, you have a budget, you can't do anything fun. You have a budget, you can't go out and go to the bar because that's irresponsible. That's not true. You can budget in anything you want in a budget. I would always plan in fun in my budget. If you didn't have any fun, what's the point of life? I mean, you got to have some fun. Even if you're broke, you can't sit in the house every day on end just to save money. You still have to go out. It's like I like to refer to it to a diet. Everyone's probably been on a diet at some point in their life. And if you just eat carrots all day, every day, you're going to hate your life. You have to add in some flavor, maybe one dessert a week, and when you have that one dessert, you don't want to just eat it in one bite. You really want to savor it. And that's what a budget is for. So we work hard all week, we save money, we don't do anything stupid all week, and then Saturday night we go out and have a modest meal out and a couple of drinks or a dessert, whatever you prefer, to celebrate a good week of saving. Um, so you're going to have that built into your budget. So don't think a budget means you can't do anything at all, because that's just not the case. Unless you really want to do that and just for a full year, save every penny you can. But it's going to be a lot tougher. I recommend adding in some fun. Another thing I like to refer to budgeting is your time, because everyone has a lot of amount of time in a day. So let's say you have a normal 9 to 5 job. You wake up, you prep, you shower, you pack your lunch, hopefully. That maybe takes an hour. Drive to work, half hour. You're at work for 4 hours, you get an hour lunch. You're at work for another 4 hours, half hour home, cook dinner, make dinner, 7 o'clock. And you got to go to bed like 9:30, 10, we'll say. So you can get some 8 hours of sleep. So that only gives you a few hours of freedom every day outside of your lunch break. So what are you going to do? You're going to waste those 2 hours scrolling on your phone. Maybe you had a terrible day and you're exhausted. You went to the gym at your lunch break and you were just crushing it all day, and that's okay. But some days you want to relax however you relax. You want to work on your hobby, you want to watch your favorite TV show, you want to watch a movie, spend time with your spouse or your kids, see some family, play with the dog, etc. So that's what we want to think about our budget as well. We're budgeting our money to use it the most wisely. So those 2 hours of freedom, you buying $1,000 winter coat for the winter might feel good for a second, but then all month you have no extra spending money. So that probably wasn't the wisest move for your money. Or you could read a book, and learn something instead. And on the weekend, you go out to dinner a couple times, twice instead of buying something online. So there's just different ways to build savings into your budget depending on your personality. And once you build in these fun activities and things you enjoy, you're going to not feel guilty about doing them. So you can go out to eat and not feel like, oh, I should have saved that money. Because no, you already had it in your budget. You already have a plan for the money you're about to save, and that's already built in. So you're all good. I want this budget to give you freedom and peace of mind, not something that makes you feel like you can't do fun things. So the first step here is your income, which you might have put in, and maybe you're an expert on this already, hopefully. But we think of our income. Let's say you have a salary job. I make 50,000 a year. Well, you actually don't make 50,000 a year because taxes are taken out. You make more like 35,000 a year. So we need to make sure we understand the amount of money we're making a month. Because if you think you're making 15,000 or 50,000 a year, you're actually messing up your brain thinking you have an extra 15,000 when you don't. So that's the first step, making sure it's after tax dollars. Another is, like we said, as your homework, and hopefully you start looking at it, is understanding your fixed expenses, those expenses that you have every month. Again, you think, oh, I make, even after taxes, I make 3,000 a month. Well, kind of, but you don't have 3,000 to spend because you have your rent or mortgage, your other bills, your loans, etc. So you want to look at that after all your normal expenses you have to live. That's your free amount of money to spend. And then we want to make sure we don't spend all that so we can build some savings. So that's why I have in the budget. So let's work down here. This is my budget from 2016. Okay. So I was 24, turning 24. You can see I made 48,000 a year at the time. Very similar to the last slide. But if you look in here, I say, oh, I make after taxes $2,930 a month. Well, not really, because I have rent, I have cable I have to split with my roommates and my other utilities, a little bit of insurance. Luckily at the time I was on family health care. I had very low expense at the time. Obviously I was young. So yours is going to be higher. Mine right now is higher. But that's okay. This is just basic budget to understand. I average food here. I love cooking for myself. It's the cheapest meal you can have, the healthiest meal you can have. So I try to cook as much as possible. I have a spreadsheet for grocery lists so you can start cooking for yourself if you normally don't too. That'll be in a future slide here. But if we look at this here, so let's say this is what I normally spend on food, is what I'm saving for retirement, loans, everything. That only means, and I give myself a spend of $175 a week on fun stuff. And when I was in my early 20s, that was probably just going to the bar or going out to eat. And that left me with $400 of savings a month. So this just really understands, this is the real amount of money I had right here that I could play with every month, $1,100, not the $2,900. I only had $1,165 that I could spend freely. This was all what I had to spend just to live. So if I spent my $175 a week, I would save $400 a month. Or maybe I could spend $150 a week for the whole month and save an extra 100. So that's where I start diving into my budget and looking at it constantly, tracking my expenses, like my credit card purchases. I look at my bank statement every morning, my credit card statement every morning, make sure I tracked every cent. So like, how can I boost the savings even further without taking away fun? And that's what I really worked on through my 20s, and trying to maximize this savings here and see what I could do to flex this number and save more for this number so I can go on a vacation or something like that. And that's what I really want you to dive into, because it's really hard to cut this stuff. Maybe we could cut cable and just have internet. That's what I do now, or something like that. But you can only turn off so many lights to pull down your electric. You can only, in the winter and here in Pittsburgh, you really can't get your house under 60 degrees. Otherwise your pipes might start to freeze, can't turn off your heat. So those variable expenses are more fixed from what I say. You can't unplug your fridge, etc. So what we're really worried about is below this line here on our spending. And again, I would mess with this number constantly to try to find a lower or higher number. And this is where I sat in my 20s. It felt the most realistic. But this is a living document. Look at it regularly and work on it to make it better for you. So this slide, I'm further explaining this. The one thing I like to say is if you have a corporate job, the food, if you have a budget, this number is pretty low, like mine here, $400 a month, or even lower, hopefully not negative. Cooking is big. I can cook a meal for me and Shannon, my wife, for $5 or less some nights, depending on what we have. Like a chicken breast and some vegetables and a sweet potato. That's 2 people, $5 for dinner. That makes you full and healthy. Like, good luck finding that anywhere else. Even McDonald's is more expensive than that now. Just pick and choose when you do go out. and make sure you're not just going out to appease others. Make sure you're going out because you want to go out to eat. That's big. Like, don't have your coworkers guilt trip you into going out to lunch when you don't want to, because one, it's expensive, and two, you spend all day with your coworkers. Why am I going to give up my free lunch hour just to hang with them some more? I like to go out to lunch with people I don't see very often. It makes it worthwhile. If I'm going to spend an extra $5, $10 on lunch compared to this lunch I packed, at least I should talk to someone I don't normally see and enjoy it. Another thing for this out spending, people like to shop a lot more than me. I don't know when I got this t-shirt. I don't like to buy new stuff because I'd rather have the money. But some people like new stuff all the time. But if you're a shopper, understand that shopping is going to cut into this amount. So if you buy a lot of stuff, clothes and things for yourself this week, maybe you can't go out on the weekends. You have to stay in and watch a movie or something like that. So pick and choose your spending. So here's a little story I would do back in my 20s. If I went home for the weekend to visit my parents or other family, I probably wasn't spending any money at home. My dad would pick up the tab if we went out to dinner, and we were probably hanging out at some family event or something like that, being outside. So when I got home, maybe I didn't have any groceries, or I'm just gonna order pizza and hang out with my roommates because I haven't seen them all weekend, hear what they did. So maybe that week I only spent $25 on pizza, and I went out to lunch Friday or something like that. So that gave me an extra $150 cushion for future weeks throughout the month. So then next week, I should take out my then girlfriend for a nice dinner because I was at home last weekend, so I should make up for it or something like that. I have it in my budget. I was able to do that. So that's another cool thing about tracking weekly expenses over monthly expenses. Because people say, oh, well, if you look at, I have $758 a month to spend on fun. That's kind of tough to track for a whole month. Like your one coffee with a friend one week, going out to dinner on Friday, going out for drinks Saturday. You're going to have to be on track of that math all the time, which if you can do that, more power to you. But I would like to track it for a week. Say, okay, this first week of the month, I spent $200. Okay. Next week, I better try to spend only 150 to get that $25 back, to get back on track. Or if I went home that first week of the month, I only spent $25. I'm like, good, I got a $150 cushion for the rest of the month. I'll see how I go. And then if it gets to the last week of the month and you still have that $150 cushion, you're like, oh, I could treat myself this weekend, spend like $300 on God knows what, new clothes, whatever, crazy night out. Or you could think, hey, if I just stay within my budget this weekend, only spend my 125, I'll add another 150 to this monthly savings to build my emergency fund, or if I already have my emergency fund, to put more towards investments. So that's where the budget is really nice. You start tracking your expenses. It gives you even more freedom to do more things, because once you get used to this normal budget and then you actually save more, you have more freedom or more savings, and it's even better. Like I said, cooking was big in my 20s to save me a lot of money, because if you look back, this is a very low number, my grocery bill, 120 a month. Even today, I look at that number and think that's insane. I was spending $30 a week on myself for groceries, and that was breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like Monday through Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I probably still cook breakfast most of those days, and a lunch or two. It's a lot of meals for that low money. So what I recommend for cooking, I love Aldi. I think there's like a Lidl in other parts of the country. My friend likes Walmart. Those are like the cheapest groceries. The best thing to do is to have a plan for the week. Make a grocery list and a plan of what you're cooking. I used to pack the same thing for lunch every day because I'm a boring accountant. And it was the cheapest thing I could make and the healthiest thing that I could make. I know not everyone could do that. You'll go insane. But just try to have a plan. Have like oatmeal in the morning, cheap, healthy, or something like that. Easy lunch to pack, and then have a dinner plan. Stick to that plan. Stick to that grocery list. And then when you get home from work, you don't even have to think like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to cook for dinner. because you already planned it out on the weekend. You're gonna, oh, Wednesday night I'm cooking chicken and zucchini and rice. Okay. It's already in the fridge. I don't have to think about it. Get right home from work. I change, start cooking this up. Dinner's ready in 20 minutes, and you have more free time. You didn't think, I don't have anything to make. I didn't thaw the chicken. I'm just going to order out. And you order out, takes 45 minutes to get there. You eat it. You feel super tired, and then you fall asleep on the couch. It feels like a waste, and then you spent more money. So that's huge for me. If you got a thin budget, is cooking and learning to enjoy to cook. My 20s, I really learned that I liked cooking because I was in Excel all day. I was doing taxes, auditing, etc. So if I could go home and make something with my hands and then get the reward of eating it and feel like it's healthy, it's fresh, I made it myself, and I get to enjoy it myself, that felt like a win after a day of work where I was copying and pasting all day just on the computer. Felt like I did something. It was very rewarding. It still is to this day. So another thing you want to look into is your small expenses. These small changes can really help you in the long run. I have this written in here. I know what you're thinking, Alex. I have a big car payment. I have credit card debt. I have 4 dogs, kids. I can't cut anything else. I can't save money. But once you start looking into everything you spend, every week you're looking at your credit card statement. You're seeing, what's this $9.99 for Apple? That's what hits Shannon's credit card all the time. It's like, do I need all this cloud storage? I don't know. That's one thing you can cut, the subscriptions. But another thing is the planning mindset. Like I said, the grocery list. So if one thing I always pack when I drive anywhere, work, anywhere, this is a knockoff Yeti full of water. Okay. So whenever you're driving, you're always thirsty, right? You're like, crap, I'm in traffic, I'm thirsty. And that's why you stop the gas station, buy that $3 Gatorade or something. So it doesn't seem like much, but you go in there, you get the Gatorade, maybe you buy a snack too. It turns out to be $5 and you're already spending buying gas, it sucks. But if you just have that thing of water in your car and think, oh, I'm good now, I don't even need to go in. I just pay with my credit card and not get tempted by the purchases in the convenience store. That's saving $5 every time you fill up or every time you drive somewhere far. Sounds stupid, but if it's even just $5 a month, that's $60 a year you can save. And if it was $5 a week, that's even more. And it's small stuff like this. It's not so much as savings. It's more of the mindset. Like, that looked like a waste. Like, if you go back and look at all the times you bought that stuff, you probably have some buyer's remorse. You'd rather have the $60 at the end of the year than all those dumb little Gatorades or something like that. And bring it back to the diet or whatever. If you're trying to stay healthy or lose some weight too, that's less calories that you're wasting on something you're just going to mindlessly eat or drink while you're driving anyways, So focus on all your expenses, even when it's small, because if you cut that small expense there, it doesn't mean you cut it entirely. Maybe you just want to save that $5 for a coffee with a friend you haven't seen. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm overspending on coffee, you thought, well, I've been packing my water in my car and I haven't bought Gatorade in months. I can buy this coffee and catch up with a friend and learn about their life. Maybe they need you to help them with something and they'll pay you for it, or you need them to help with something in your life. You're traveling and you need someone to pick up their mail, and you're like, oh my God, I'll pick up your mail. It all turns out into something good once you are aware of it. So this is something I just touched base on a little bit ago, is trimming the fat. So this is, you have to cut something. So maybe it's, one thing I like to say is cable. You probably have already some streaming services, or like me, I use my brother-in-law's Netflix. I use someone else's Hulu, and I give somebody my Disney Plus. I don't have cable. I have an antenna. I pick up the Steeler games on that. I don't really need it. I'll legally stream some sporting events if I have to through Russia. But my internet is what I use all the time. And then we watch like one movie here and there, some shows on Netflix. That's an easy one. Also, if you have internet, if you rent the Wi-Fi router, look into your cable bill. You don't want to do that if it's $10 a month. So if you have something like Xfinity, you can buy a little modem on eBay for $40 and a router for $40. After 8 months, they pay for themselves. And after that, you're saving $10 a month. Or if you have Verizon, you don't need a modem. It just plugs right into your router. That's only $40. After 4 months, then you're saving $10 a month. Check all your subscriptions, like annual subscriptions. Do you need Amazon Prime? You or your spouse both have Amazon Prime. Someone cut it and add another credit card, or just Venmo them every time you buy something on their Amazon Prime. Those things really look into to see if you're getting the full benefit of those. And even if one hits and you forgot about it, like, crap, I was going to cancel that. If you call and say, hey, I forgot that this hit automatically, most of the time they're going to give you your money back. Say, oh, sorry, we just hope that you don't call, essentially. It's not like you're forced into that year subscription after it hits your credit card. And finally, car insurance, house insurance. You got to shop it every few years because it'll creep up in payments. My first homeowner's insurance policy was like almost $1,000 a year. The next year I just called Geico because someone told me to, and I cut it in half. So you never know. It could literally, those commercials are so stupid. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. If you call 15 minutes, it could save you a boatload of money, and you're still getting insurance. Like, what's insurance? If it's the same policy, who cares who gives it to you? It's commodity. So start doing that maybe on your lunch breaks, downtime, bored, look into those things. So here's a quote from my grandpa, who was born in 1925 through the Depression. He would always say, if you leave the house, you spend money. Stay at home, you save your money. So, which is true, maybe not so much anymore, because you could buy literally anything on your phone or online. But I like to think about this quote a lot too, because even if I do go out of the house, I'm more inclined to get a coffee or something fun with Shannon, or seeing someone I'm going to buy something out of the ordinary. I'm going to, like, oh crap, we're out looking at this, let's pick up lunch, and that adds up. Of course, if it's in the budget, you're having fun, that's fine. But think about this sometimes. And instead, when you're at home, use that time that you're saving money also to improve yourself. Maybe learn a new skill, that, like, plumbing skill, if you have a house, anything like housework skills. Learn to get a new certificate for work, like or add a master's degree or something like that, so you can boost your salary at work just by hanging out in the house and bettering yourself. Cooking, like we've talked about, learn new recipes, try out new recipes. That's going to pay dividends in the long run. You can make a fancy meal at home and you don't have to go out to the fancy meal ever, because your meals taste better than the expensive restaurants. And finally, start a new hobby that pays you money, which we'll get into in the future here too. So you really like playing tennis, you could put on Facebook, I'm going to give tennis lessons on Tuesday nights for $50 an hour. And you get one person your first summer, and you make $200 a month. Just, you're already playing tennis, and then you can teach someone, and then they tell someone else, and you have this little side business where you already like playing tennis, but now you get to coach 5 kids a week, and you're helping them, and you're having fun, and you're making money. So start thinking of those ideas in your brain for when you're bored at home. And that's where I really got to where I am right now because of COVID, because I was bored at home and I couldn't just meet my friends at the bar and not think and just have fun. So what was I doing when I was bored at home? We were creating new businesses. I started my accounting and finance consulting business, like, kind of formally. I started selling junk around the house on eBay because I thought it was fun. I was trying to clean the house, and I'm like, hey, this is easier than I thought. Shipping stuff on eBay, it's fun, making money. Shannon, she turned her photography studio into an Airbnb. That's where I am right now. It's empty, so I get to use this extra space. She started a podcast, and I finished my MBA. And then once you get one thing going, you start thinking about another thing to do in your free time that's more fun than watching a movie. You can say, oh, this this little side gig sounds fun. And if it's not, you don't do it anymore. Or if it is, you keep doing it and making money. Okay. Module 2, made it through. I probably talked too long on that one. It's okay. Here's your homework. Revisit your budget. Add anything you forgot. Look into things, change things, tweak it. Living document. Keep looking at it and making it as true to your life as possible. Also, mess with that other income line on there. Start thinking of ideas for side businesses. I think we'll go into that in the next module here. And I have a tracking tab. So this tab, this is what I did back in 2017. I tracked all my savings. So I've been like following my budget real hard. I'm finding other ways to save money here and make money. So then I start tracking it. I'm like, oh, I saved $900 in January, 800 in February. And then I think in March, I paid off my student loans, and that was 500 a month. So boom, start saving even more. And it gets me real excited. And I started making a little bit of side income here, which is not that much looking back on the amount of side income I make now. But at the time, I'm like, holy crap, I almost made $3,000 in side income. So that really kind of got my brain churning. How can I boost this up to make money when I'm at work or on the weekend or something like that? And I was tracking my big expenses as well. Like I have an old car, so I had car expenses, my vacation spending, which doesn't seem very high. I probably went on 2 or 3 little weekend trips, but I had flights, of course. I bought a new bed that year. That was a big expense. Christmas gifts, etc. So follow those things too. So that's out of the ordinary, because we have that out tab of your fun expenses, but sometimes something big happens way out of budget. So track that, remember it, and then try to plan for it more in future years. And I like to try to plan for these expenses with my other income here to offset in other years that kind of happened. But even with these big expenses, I saved 14 grand that year. So that was a lot of money for me in 2017. It's still a lot of money for me now, which was awesome to look back. You can see I have all my budgets here too, which is fun to look back at the years. So hopefully you'll keep track annually as well. But yeah, so that's your homework. See what you can do with that. And then I'll see you in module 3.